Hello everyone and welcome back to Building Nations. In the last episode we got this wall all the way around nice and done, and as you can see the other wall has now been completed too. Well, that is except for the rocks on the inside. And I didn't do those over here either. You'd be thinking, what? You didn't do the rocks on the inside? That's unbelievable. You said you were going to do the rocks on the inside. Why didn't you do the Okay, yeah. So, I decided that I didn't really like the way they looked as much on the outside, but especially for the inside. Like, I don't think it really makes sense for them to do this. Like, this really works like on like a mountain or something. Like, where it makes logical sense for like there to be rocks, like the wall kind of like embedded in the rocks. But here there really are no mountains. You can see over here, I think it also makes a lot more sense. And I can terraform this hill also to make these blend in even better. But here it just doesn't really fit as well, since it's going into flat ground. So, I'm not sure that I want to keep them. I might still do something similar to this, but maybe not exactly this sort of thing. So I do want to change up the wall design for this and do something different on the inside as well. But I will get to that later, because right now I want to make the gatehouses. And really I should have made this before I pasted the towers everywhere, because now I'm going to have to do that anyway. But I do want to design a gatehouse here, so that I have like a thing to hold a gate, because that adds a lot, and I like the way it looks. So, let's get building. Alright, so starting off this process was kind of one of the more difficult parts. Like, I wanted to make sure that it was connected, but it was also like low enough to where a gate would exist, and to where I could make like a way of walking between the two, so that you could like have someone on the inside that can raise and lower the gate. But I also wanted to do that in a way where I could still add detail to it, so like I had to make wood pillars kind of in front to connect it. And I eventually decided on where they are right now. So that worked out pretty well. And I added in this little connecting thing, which is where the gate itself is stored and where you can walk across, and some the roof on top of it. The height of the roof is kind of interesting, because I didn't want it to interfere with the current roof that I had, but I also didn't want it to be so low that you couldn't walk from where the floor inside the tower is, like across. So the height inside is actually around 2.5 blocks. So it's perfectly walkable, but it is a little tight, but I think that's okay. I kind of like those tight spaces in interiors as well, just because I think it makes it seem a bit more cozy. Not 2 blocks tall, but 2.5 is fine, in my opinion. So, adding in some more detail, mixing in some different types of blocks there, stone and stone brick, to add some more variation, getting the roof looking better, and then, of course, building the gate itself. Originally, I designed the gate as being closed, but eventually I decided to make it open, just because that makes more sense. You know, why have a closed gate? Like, no one's getting in? Like, what? If, like, this is like a still reflection of, you know, life, you want it to be open, because that's like how life would be. It wouldn't be closed if things are moving in and out of it. So, I wanted to keep that open. And that's going inside the building, where I also designed a sort of interior. There's some like chains and grindstones to kind of add some detail on the inside, which is kind of interesting. I wanted to detail the like 2 open patches that were there with something. I was thinking about maybe doing the seal that was on the front of the castle, but that didn't really fit well. I couldn't add enough like detail, like the dimensions didn't work out to where it looked good to do it anywhere, so I just didn't end up going with it. But it was a good idea, and in the future I would definitely try to get it on the gatehouse, any gatehouse that I make. So in the end, tried doing some like stair patterns, but I just ended up putting a nice little row of cobblestone walls across, and adding in some cobblestone stairs to make it a bit more detailed. And yeah, I like the end result here. Tried out some other things like fences, but none of that really worked as well as just straight walls across. And yeah, it's looking pretty good. Alright, so this is the completed gatehouse. I posted about this on Reddit to see what people had to say, and most people that responded seemed pretty happy with it, so that kind of validates me a little bit, which is nice. Really, I guess it really just depends how I think of it, but some suggested to add some andesite, so I'm going to mix a little bit of that in here and there. I got another suggestion to make the towers taller, but the thing with that, like I've thought about that, I really feel like this is what needs to be taller, but that doesn't really fit the detail and the tower design that I initially made. So I can make these taller. I'm trying to decide if I want to before I move this whole thing like around to the other locations. So I'll think about that for a bit before I make my decision. But there are a couple of other things, not really a couple, there's like one other thing that I want to do here before I get moving. And that is going to be to actually raise this, like, this tower section, like, up a block. And, like, most of this area. Because I want the docks to be level here. I'm using granite because that's just what I happen to pick. Do I? Because I could make them level here and it would still work. Or I could make it go up. You know what? Never mind. That was an idea. Maybe I'll do it in the future, but I don't think I will, because I had a different idea that also works. Okay, so the docks, they're going to be on this level, this floor level, but there might be parts of it that just go up. So it's like an even boardwalk, but like outcrops that go up, they're raised. Okay, I like that idea. I think that'll work. Still need to think about how this is going to work, but for now, I do want to figure out a new sort of structure design for the walls to kind of make this stuff. Actually, I'll keep it on the outside, but I'm going to do something new on the inside walls, so I want to get that designed. Oh, of course, the number one question to ask when you're, building a wall and trying to make a nice detailed wall design is how does it look from all angles? Because I wanted it to look good from the front, from the sides, from any direction. So experimented with a couple different things, because I also wanted to make it look supported and strong. So this like wall from the base to the top, the cobblestone wall, that's one option, and the other was the little like buttress thing. And I ended up going with this one because I felt like it would look better just from a variety of angles, and it just was more detailed and it looked like more supported, in my opinion. So that's why I went with that. But I also decided to add a little trim of dark oak stripped logs behind the stairs to add a bit more color contrast in it. And I think that added a whole lot to it as well. Like just having that color makes a whole world of difference, even if you can't see it like on the opposite side. But it really adds so much to be able to see through. And then of course having to put this design, you have to account for how this design would look on spaces where it's not even. So like these are all perfect threes, but there are places where it's not perfect. So I had to account for what it would probably end up looking like on those spaces, and I think I did a pretty good job with the end result. Alright, after that brief little bit of designing, I really like the way that this looks. I think it looks so much nicer than it did before. Like, I don't know, it just seems more, like there's more going on, which isn't always what you want, but I really like the way that it kind of adds a bit. Like, I mean, you can see a direct comparison here between, like, this wall and this wall, and this wall just, I don't know, just looks, like, better. But, like, not only better, just, like, out of aesthetic, but also, like, more, like, durable and, I don't know, whatever. I don't know. It just looks better to me. And the inside also looks really nice. It's not going to take up too much space, so I still have room to do stuff next to the wall. And, yeah. So I'm going to put this pattern on every other wall that we have, which will take some time, but I'm not going to include that in the episode because it really just doesn't need to be there. Alright, as you can see, the nice new wall design has been put in everywhere, and I'm liking it quite a bit. I think it adds a lot to the walls and makes them just feel a little bit more stable and secure, and also a bit more detailed and just kind of better looking overall. So I'm really happy with that change. Yeah, I think I have, while I was doing this, I was thinking about the towers and how I wanted these to look, and I think I am going to make them taller. Just gonna remove the roof here. Nothing crazy. Just get it out. We don't need it anymore. It's not that important. Yoink. And do the same thing down here. Beautiful. I just want to copy it and paste it so I can save it for a rainy day. Well, I'll cut and paste actually. Doink. There we go. I have a roof now. And I can just rebuild this thing. Go up. So you don't want to do 2, I think I'll do 3 more blocks. Filling this in along the way. Nothing crazy. Then we just paste the new roof on top. Well, it's really the same roof. Paste the same roof on top. It should be standing like right here. Cool. And now we have a new roof. And I can stick a window in right there. That's the main reason I wanted to do this, is so that I could get a window there. And the floor in here would be going about here-ish. And that floor isn't too tall, so that's nice as well. And yeah, we now have a new thing. And I can stick windows on all 4 sides even. Just to add a bit to it, make it look a bit nicer. And we could fill these in nicely. Okay, so I'm going to get this design kind of copied onto the other like 4 gateway spots in the city, and let's see what that looks like. Alright, and there we go. You can see that it's been posted here, it's been posted over there, it's been made over there, and it's now over there as well. So we have all 4 gatehouses in place, and that wall looks so much nicer, having like a solid thing between the 2 towers here. It really, I don't know, it just makes it seem more like it's an actual wall, and less like there's just like an opening for no reason. Which, I mean, there kind of is, but like you can see it's an opening, but it still looks like there's like a wall going through here. So I think I did a good job with the design to make it blend in. Yeah, I didn't realize that I forgot about this. I gotta fix this, but yeah, I can do that later. That's not that big a deal. Yeah, so what now? Well, we have some time left, so I'm going to do my best to finish up the detail back here, the outside walls of this castle. We'll see how far I get, just because this part is, like, pretty difficult, in terms of everything else that I had to do for it, so we'll see how I do, but I will try to get it done. And now it comes time for the thing that I'm probably least prepared for in this entire episode. Having to detail this side in particular. This was an interesting experience, because I didn't really make this, like, the shell here with good intentions of having it look nice and be easy to detail. So that first house on the side was fine. That was like a little, minor thing that wasn't too crazy. But this one was strange. Putting the wood directly on top of the stone, like how I did, was not really a great idea. So I might go back and change that with the other 2 buildings, and that'll make a bit more sense later. But like, it was not the best choice. I was able to make it work pretty well, I think, doing the wood pillars like I did to kind of add some depth there, and then doing a nice detail pattern, and the rest of the walls looked pretty good overall. So I'm happy with the way this building looks. Keep using the same sort of like outward stair buttress type things as well, just to add a bit more. Now this outside staircase is a really good idea in concept, and I think I made it work well. Like, I like the way it looks, but it was definitely an interesting thing to design, because I wanted it to be covered, like have a roof, and I had a picture in my head for what I was envisioning it looking like, but it didn't really end up like looking like that, just because the shape, like the perfect one block staircase didn't really match the image I had in my head. So trying to like design it around an image that didn't work for what it was actually like looking like didn't really go too well. So it was a good idea. And the idea I have is what it ended up looking like, so I'm happy with that. But I wanted it to be covered because I didn't think it would make sense for the king to have his like private staircase not have a roof on it. Like, what if it was raining? You know, how the king isn't going to walk through the rain? Like, that doesn't make sense. So, wanted it to be covered. I added in some like pillars here to get a slight covering that way, and added in some dark oak as like an actual roof over it to add both color and like an actual roof. So adding in that dark oak worked pretty well. You that go all the way to the edge, and then added a cobblestone trim. I also decided to fill in the like wall spaces with stone brick walls, which I think was a great choice because that adds depth in it without like taking an extra block space. So that looked pretty good, and I was happy with the way that ended up looking. Down at the bottom here, again, just the same sort of thing, just a little bit more support for it. I could probably add a bit more support on the staircase itself too, now that I'm looking back on it. And this top building, you can see where the wood problem comes and a bit more here. Like, because it's not separated, it just doesn't integrate well. And the detail itself wasn't particularly strong either. So it's just not a good look. I will probably go back and change that later just because it doesn't look great. It's not how I want it to be, and I think I can do better. Alright, well I know it's not the whole thing done, but I'm just really not in the right mindset to continue building this, that main window. I like this building, I like this side, and I like the staircase, but I'm just not, like, feeling the way this looks, and I don't feel like I'm capable of making it look how I want it to, right now. And I know that's like, I was gonna do this whole thing, but I'm just not capable right now. But I'll get around to it when I get around to it. It's not like it's going anywhere. It'll still be here every time we're working on the rest of the city. So when I get that done, I'll get it done. But until then, it's not going to be done. And that's okay. But we did get a lot done otherwise. I mean, the gatehouses are in. They're looking great. A new wall design, just to kind of finalize everything around the outside. And all that looks pretty good. So, with that, I'm going to leave this here. Leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed, if you've got any feedback you have for me, and I'll see all of you later. Bye.